Hello, I'm Daniela, and welcome to the May prompt for Stitch With Me in 2024. It's an online slow stitching workshop with each month where I give a prompt and then you illustrate it with fabric and thread or any type of variation you want, mixed media or paper arts. Today's prompt is comfort, so create something that brings you comfort or something that you found that makes you feel comfortable. There's so many possibilities with this. I created, well, a cup of tea, and I can't wait to show you my process. So let's get started. So here's my current Stitch With Me in 2024 roll. I just have it temporarily taped to a bamboo skewer at the very end, just so that I can unroll it easily. And now here I have the section that I want to work on. So for comfort, I've already prepped my fabric here, where I stamp the word comfort. I have a video showing how I do different methods of stamping on fabric. I'll link that. Somebody requested that. And so now I'm just going to take my stamped image and cut out that word so that I have my little label that I've been using for each of the prompts. And I'll trim that down further. Now, coming up with comfort, what I wanted to do for it, I had a field day. Something that's always brought me comfort, it's very simple and easy, is a cup of tea. So I created this little sketch showing some various teacups and tea accessories, and then different definitions of comfort, which is basically to soothe or console, reassure, or bring cheer to. And honestly, a cup of tea does that for me. So I made some images. I'm probably gonna do a variation of this one. I just love the tea with a little cookie. I just think that's so cute, as well as the little tea bag to indicate that it's tea as opposed to a cup of soup or coffee or anything. But you can create any image that brings you comfort. And if you want to turn this into a prompt of how you take your tea with either lemon or honey or whatever, go right ahead and do that as well. So to get started, after I have my tag, which I'll trim down further, I chose my fabrics. I chose this beautiful blue that I've been using throughout. I think I'll do this for the cup. I had a little scrap of the leftover fabric from the musical, and I think this will make a beautiful little tea note, the little tag at the end of a tea bag. It'll be a little abstract. It'll be recognizable because it'll coordinate, but it won't be a dominant aspect. The musical is not a dominant aspect to this particular prompt, but I do like the coordination. I have a little gray fabric, a little scrap of that I'm going to use to back my label. So I'll trim those accordingly. And then I have this little beige print, which I just love. So simple. This will make a good base of the cookie. I had an idea to maybe cover that cookie with a little bit of lace to give it some texture. And then I'll go in with my embroidery floss and embellish it with chocolate chips. I also have some lace that I can embellish the teacup with, but I'll play around with that accessory when the time comes. I just love little things like that. And I also had a very little heart bead that I think I want to add to the end of my little tea note. I just think that'll be precious. So my next step is to start tracing the images with an erasable pen onto the fabric to really get the size that I want. So I'll set aside my laces and my accessories, the fun part, and start right away creating that teacup. Now I have my image that I want to kind of refer back to, and I have my canvas, and I'm going to put it on here so I can kind of go by a size that I want. And turning it this way is probably an easier way for me to come up with the size. I can determine which way I want the handle to go. I think I'm going to just stick like it is in my little sketch. So I want to create a teacup. And I'll just sketch half of that image because I can cut it out by mirroring it. And then I'll add the handle at the end. Then I kind of have the base here. I might even, well, I was considering making it larger, but I can always lower it here because I really want those little steam indicators to show. So I have my fabric. Just find a halfway point. And if it's too large, I'll cut it down that way as well. Now it looks a little bit like a bowl, but that's okay. I do like a large teacup. So I think I'll stick with that. Probably lower it just a little bit. I like having a little overlap with the previous prompt. And now I'll just work on that handle. So I'll come back to my fabric piece, create a little overlap. And I don't really want the handle to go up over the height of the cup. Maybe like that. Looks kind of like an ear at this point. It's a nice size. So now I'll just trace around, seeing if I can obtain the width that I want all the way around that handle. My next element is going to be that cookie. So I have this fabric here. It happens to have a little bit of interfacing on the back just to give the fabric a little more stability. I just got to basically choose a size. I have this little round here from some red tape. I think I'll just trace that around and use that as my size. So I have that, it's cute. Can always change the side that I put it on as well. One thing I was considering was taking a little bit of this lace and not looking for the lace, but looking for the texture somewhere around it here, kind of look like the nooks and crannies of a cookie. Well, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So now I'll just cut around that. And that gives my cookie a little dimension. My next stage is I'm going to tack both the cookie and the cup and the teacup down by just stitching around them with coordinating thread to each of them. So I have the teacup stitched in place and the start of that cookie. Now I want to embellish that teacup before I go any further. And I can use some of this lace that coordinates with these, but I think that might be a little overkill. I have this beautiful lace here, and it's got that nice little edge, which I think I'd like to use for the teacup. And there's a little piece here, a little medallion. I can use that as well. Oh, I like that. I can work on figuring out how to use that, even just this little piece here. Either side, oh, beautiful. So I'll work on that. Then I'm going to want to stitch some chocolate chips in that cookie. So I'll just put a little guide here of some places that I want to stitch them. And I have a couple of colors of brown to use to do that stitching. I'll see if I want to do a variation or just leave it at one color. And I also want to create those little swirls of steam. So I'll decide while I'm working on the teacup, I'll decide how I want to do that, what color I want to use for the steam swirls. And then I'll have to work on my label and my little T-note. So I'll stitch this down and we'll come back and work on the remaining pieces. So now my teacup is coming along quite nicely. I've got my cookie, which I'm really pleased with. I want to put my label though a little over here. So I reworked the little steam lines and I'll stitch those down with I think a gray will look nice. And then I made this cute little T-note here, little tag. I have my heart stitched on it. And on the back is that musical print. I decided to do it that way because I'm going to make this flopping around. It's not going to be stitched down. And put it this way. And I'll have that string coming up here. So I'll work on stitching down that and this and cleaning up those lines. And then we'll take a look at our piece. I might add a few little stitches to coordinate, but we'll see how it looks. So I've completed stitching everything down, adding my little steam marks. Oh, I love that. I love how that came out. I was considering adding a few more stitches, but I think I'm going to wait. I'm really pleased with this particular prompt. I like everything about it. I like the size overall. I like how it blends into the previous prompt. I love the way the lace added so much dimension and just so much intrigue to that teacup. It makes me want to have a cup of tea already. So that's the prompt for May. I can't wait to see your work on our Facebook group. So that's how I created my May prompt for comfort. It's just a cup of tea. I enjoyed it tremendously, and I'm enjoying this snippet roll, both creating it and seeing the work that you publish on Facebook. I want to thank you for joining our group and publishing your work, your progress, and your thoughts, like what led you to create those prompts. It's wonderful to see such a really rich and supportive community. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. And thank you for joining me today.